I was just looking at a pretty standard job description for a software engineer this morning.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, it's, the usual list. Java, Python, SQL, 5 years of experience.
Yeah.
Must love pizza, the standard stuff. But then I looked at the notes we have for today.
From Class 5 of CS326.
Exactly. And it kind of hit me. That job description, it's basically lying by omission.
Lying is a strong word to start with, but I think I see where you're going with this.
Well, it's true, isn't it? If you look at this material, we're diving into the pragmatic programmer and the team data from the class slides. The actual job is so much more than writing code.
Oh, absolutely.
The job this course is describing looks more like, I don't know, a mix of crisis negotiation, investment banking, and moral philosophy.
You're not wrong. There's a massive, massive gap between being a coder, someone who just translates logic into syntax, and being what the authors call a pragmatic programmer.
And that's exactly our mission for this deep dive. We're going to unpack the preface, postface, and chapter 1 of that book, The Pragmatic Programmer, and look at the actual team data from Class 5.
And really get into the mindset shift.
Yeah. We're going to figure out why bad code is actually a psychological problem, how to manage your brain like a stock portfolio. And we're going to name some names on who's leading the teams this semester.
It's a heavy lineup, but it all really centers on one core concept: professional maturity.
Maturity. Okay. Well, before we get to the team assignments and all that data, let's start with the psychology. The notes open with a section that has my absolute favorite title so far. The cat ate my source code.
It's a classic, isn't it?
It is.
And it sounds like a joke, but it's really attacking the single biggest mistake junior developers make, which is that victim mindset.
But wait, let me play devil's advocate for a second. Sometimes things do break,
Yeah.
Vendors release buggy APIs, hard drives fail. The cat really could eat the cable. If I tell my boss AWS is down, it's not an excuse, it's just a fact.
It is a fact, but it's not a solution. And that's the key distinction. The pragmatic mindset is all about how you react to that kind of chaos. The notes are very specific. Your employer isn't paying you for excuses. They're not even really paying you for facts. They're paying you for options.
Okay, break that down for me. What's the real difference between an excuse and an option when everything's on fire?
So imagine the database crashes 3 days before launch. An excuse is, the vendor software is garbage. I can't fix it.
Which might be true.
It might be absolutely true, but it's a dead end. You've just dumped the problem right back on your boss's desk. You've abdicated your role.
Right. You've just made it their problem.
Exactly. Now, an option sounds more like this. The vendor software is garbage, so we can either A, switch to a backup flat file system, which will be slow but stable, or B, we delay the launch by 2 days to patch it.
I see. So you're not promising a miracle, but you are providing a path forward. You're keeping your hand on the wheel.
You are providing agency. You're saying, I am still in control of this ship, even if the engine is on fire. And that is what the notes mean by taking responsibility. It's an active process. You don't just have it, you take it.
Which seems to be the theme here. Don't let things fester. And that leads directly to the next big concept in the reading. Software entropy.
Right, entropy.
Yeah.
It's a term from physics, the amount of disorder in a system.
And in software.
It's that natural tendency for a clean, beautiful code base to slowly, inevitably turn into a giant ball of mud.
But I was surprised to see where the authors went for the solution. They didn't go to computer science. They went to criminology. They talk about the broken window theory.
It's a fascinating parallel. The theory comes from urban policing. It says that if a building has a broken window and it's just left there for a while,
people assume no one cares.
Exactly. And pretty soon, more windows get broken. Then you see graffiti, then structural damage. That one little bit of neglect signals that anything goes.
And the argument is this maps perfectly to code. But does it really? Code isn't a brick building.
But think about it. Have you ever opened a source file and just seen a massive, messy function with bad variable names commented out code?
All the time.
And what's your gut reaction? Do you carefully craft your new piece of code to be pristine? Or do you just kind of think, well, this place is already a dump. I might as well just hack this in.
Yeah. I usually just hack it in. I'm not going to be the only one sweeping the floor in a burning house,
And that is entropy winning. That's the psychological contagion. A broken window in code, a bad design, a hard-coded value, a skipped test. It signals to everyone that quality is negotiable here.
So the fix the notes prescribe is pretty intense. They just say, don't live with broken windows. Fix them.
Yeah.
Immediately.
Immediately.
Okay, but hold on. Let's be real. We just talked about deadlines. What if I can't fix it? What if the deadline is in an hour and I spot a broken window? Do I blow the whole deadline just to fix a variable name?
No, and the authors do account for that. If you can't fix it right then and there, you board it up.
Board it up.
You acknowledge it. You add a big prominent comment, maybe a to-do with a date on it, or you wrap the bad code in a dummy interface. You take some kind of visible action that tells the team, I see this mess, I know it's wrong, and we are coming back for it.
Ah, so you're signaling that the building is still occupied. Someone still cares.
Exactly. You stop the rot from spreading.
Okay, so that actually creates a bit of a tension for me. On one hand, it's fix everything immediately, but the very next section in the notes is called good enough software. That feels contradictory. Isn't good enough just an excuse for being lazy?
It can feel that way, can't it? But context is everything here. The notes aren't saying write garbage. They're saying you need to treat quality as a requirement, just like, say, speed or cost.
So it's a trade-off.
It's an economic decision, really. The notes make a crucial point. Great software today is often better than perfect software tomorrow.
Unless you're building a pacemaker.
Right. And they explicitly exempt safety-critical systems. If lives are at risk, good enough is 100% perfection. But for a class project, a startup app, users would rather have something to use now than wait a year for a masterpiece they might not even need anymore.
It's about knowing when to stop painting.
Yes. And this dovetails perfectly into that stone soup story the notes bring up.
I remember this one. The soldiers come to a village, pretend to make soup from a stone.
Right. And the villagers get curious, and one by one they add carrots, beef, potatoes.
It's a cute story about sharing.
In this context, though, it's a strategy for manipulation.
Whoa, manipulation. That sounds a little sinister.
Okay, let's call it benevolent manipulation. Think about the corporate world. If you go to management and say, I need $1 million in 6 months to rebuild everything, what are they going to say?
No, it's too big, too risky.
Exactly. So you start with the stone, you build a small prototype, you fix one little module, you show them something that actually works.
And people want to be part of a success.
People naturally want to join a success. Once they see the soup bubbling, they start offering resources. Here, take my server. Here, take my best developer.
You become a catalyst.
You do. But there's a warning attached to that story in the notes, too. The flip side of the boiling pot.
The frog. The boiled frog.
The boiled frog. If you're only focused on your little stone, your one module, you might not notice the water around you is heating up. The whole project could be drifting off course, requirements changing.
Entropy is taking over the wider system.
And you don't notice until it's too late. It requires constant situational awareness.
Which brings us to the tool you need for that awareness.
Yeah.
Your brain. The notes have this concept of the knowledge portfolio. I love this because it makes learning purely financial.
It's maybe the best analogy in the whole book. It treats your skills, your knowledge of Java, algorithms, whatever, as assets. And here's the scary part. They are expiring assets.
That hit me hard. You can't just learn to code once and then ride that for 40 years.
Not a chance. The half-life of a tech skill is, 5 years? Maybe? If you only know the tools from your freshman year, your market value is crashing every single day.
So how do we manage this portfolio? The notes give us some Wall Street strategies.
First up, diversification.
Meaning, don't put all your eggs in one syntax basket.
Exactly. If you only know Java, you're high risk. If the industry shifts, you're basically bankrupt. You need a mix of high risk, high reward tech life, a new AI framework balanced against your blue chip stocks like SQL or Python.
Then there's buy low, sell high.
This is all about spotting trends. Learning a technology before it gets cool. That's where the real leverage is. If you learned mobile development in 2007, you were set for a decade.
The notes give concrete quotas, which I think is great. It's not just keep learning. It's learn one new language every year.
And that actually rewires your brain. Even if you never use it professionally, learning a functional language like Haskell makes you a better Java programmer. You just see problems differently.
They also say read a technical book every single month.
Consistency. It's a habit.
And this is the one I think most of us skip read non-technical books.
So crucial. You're building software for humans. If you don't understand psychology or sociology, you're just coding in a vacuum. You'll never understand the user in user interface.
There's one big warning in the notes here, though. Vendor nuance.
Oh, yeah. Never ask the barber if you need a haircut. When you're researching new tech, you have to remember the documentation is just marketing material.
But the website says it scales infinitely.
Of course it does. The notes say you should ask the 5 whys. Drill down. Who really benefits from this tool? Is it actually better? Or is it just better marketed? Be a critic, not a consumer.
So we've got the tech skills, the portfolios managed. But the notes have this quote that I think sums up the biggest point of failure for so many people. A good idea is an orphan without effective communication.
You can be the best coder in the world, but if you can't explain why your design is better, you will lose. It is that simple.
So the notes offer a mnemonic, wisdom. It's a checklist for talking to anyone.
Right. So W is for what? What exactly do you want them to know? Get precise.
I is for interest. Why should they care? Not why you care.
That's a huge mental shift for most developers, and it's the most important one.
Yeah.
S is sophistication. Adjust your language. No acronyms with the CEO.
D is detail. Do they need the 50-page report or the one-paragraph summary?
O is own. This one's subtle. How do you make them feel like the idea is theirs?
And finally, M is for motivate. What is the call to action?
Right. What do you want them to do after you're done talking?
The big takeaway for me was that one sentence. The meaning of your communication is the response you get.
Yeah, that's a hard pill to swallow. If they don't get it, you can't just say, well, they're stupid. No, you failed to communicate. It's taking responsibility all over again.
Okay, we've covered the philosophy, the economics. Now I want to pivot to the reality on the ground. We had slides from Class 5, and they've actually visualized the development shop for this cohort.
Right, from theory to practice. These scatter plots are fascinating. They mapped desire versus ability for students across skills like leadership, requirements, coding.
And it's not a straight line, is it?
Not at all. And that's a challenge. You have data points in the top left, high desire, low ability. Those are your hungry juniors. You can mold them.
But then you've got the bottom right, high ability, low desire.
The burnout zone. These people know how to do the job, but they don't want to. Maybe they're bored of writing tests or they hate the back end. If you put them in the wrong role, they become a broken window.
Speaking of roles, the class has formalized the structure. It's not just everyone go code.
No, it's a standard industry hierarchy. You've got the team lead managing the schedule, the requirements lead handling the design lead handling the how.
The development lead for coding assignments, and the testing lead as the gatekeeper of quality.
Exactly.
And looking at the suggested teams list in the source material, it looks like the draft pick is in. I'm seeing some specific names assigned here.
It is. Let's run through the roster. For the back-end team, we see Feldman tapped for design with TV on dev.
And Moyer handling requirements and testing there. Okay.
Then over on front end, we've got Trawali stepping up as team lead with Forbes on design and Hunt on dev.
Okay, then the gamification squad. Susano is leading that one.
Right, with Opalai, Ewing, and Liz rounding out that crew.
And finally, the logic team. Luiki J is the team lead, managing Dion, Ianon, and Yuslati.
So the key message for everyone in the class is that these are suggested teams, but the clock is ticking. You need to finalize these rosters by this Friday, January 30th.
So if your name was just called, you've got some work to do.
And there's one more logistical detail in the notes that fits perfectly with this whole pragmatic theme. The homework submission process is changing.
Yes. Goodbye email, hello Git.
Starting this Monday, February 2nd.
That's the date. No more emailing in your reading notes. You have to commit them to the repository.
I love this because it forces students to use the tools of the trade for everything. Email is for your grandma. Git is for engineers.
A pragmatic programmer lives in version control.
Absolutely. And for the discussion leaders, there are new instructions for you too. You have to update the wiki.
And it's not just a summary of what you talked about, right?
Right. The notes are very clear. You need to document decisions made and any open items. It's about creating an audit trail.
Institutional memory.
Precisely. In the real world, if it's not on the wiki or in Jira, it basically didn't happen. This is training for that reality.
We're almost out of time, but we have to touch on the postface of the book. It takes a really sudden, serious turn right at the end.
It does. It moves from how to code well to what should we code.
The authors remind us that we as developers have immense power. We're building the infrastructure of the future.
And they warn us, the price of that power is vigilance.
They actually use the phrase, don't enable scumbags.
It's blunt, but necessary. It is. The golden rule here is first, do no harm. You have a choice. If your boss asks you to write code that tracks users illegally or hides safety data, you have the power and the responsibility to say no.
The notes leave us with two final questions. I think every developer should have these taped to their monitor. Question 1, Have I protected the user?
And question 2, would I use this myself?
And if the answer to either of those is no, you have a broken window, and you need to fix it.
Well said.
That's it for this deep dive into Class 5 and the pragmatic mindset. So here is my challenge to you listening. Look at your own knowledge portfolio today. Find one asset that's expiring and make a plan to upgrade it this week.
Buy low, sell high.
Thanks for listening. We'll see you next time.